What is up, guys and girls? Hurricane Liz here, and on this video we're going to talk about how Walmart has recently been suspending what people are saying tons and tons of people. So we're going to go over that. We're going to go over how this can affect you, and we're going to go over if you should be scared about this. So I'm super fired up to talk about this. I hope you're fired up. Let's go ahead and do this. All right, guys and girls, so let's go ahead and start out with the topic at hand, which is Walmart, or people are saying Walmart suspended 31,000. And since that day, Walmart's still been on a rampage, suspending people left and right. Is this true? Is this false? And how in the heck do people know? Well, let me just remind you that before we even begin, remember that you can schedule a call with me to talk all about Walmart automation and where you are on your journey. Or if you're having any problems finding a solid team, my email is below, so feel free to contact me there. We can set up a call. All right, so how do these people know 31,000 have been suspended on Walmart? Well, word has it, and now I don't know this information yet, but I will try and find it out as soon as I can, that there is a place where you can see the total amount of stores live on Walmart. And that place magically one day went from a certain number to 31,000 less. So that is where people are getting their estimates as to how all these stores came about and got suspended. Now, I will say this much, that since that day, I have noticed that almost every single Friday, Walmart sprinkles in a little bit of suspension love, and they will suspend people randomly for no rhyme or reason. I've seen things like people having 100% valid tracking rate, which means they're up to date on all their tracking and putting the right tracking information on the back end. But guess what? Walmart was still suspended for valid tracking. So there are words flying all around that Walmart is glitchy as hell, which we all know that, and that they're randomly just suspending things left and right just to see what happens. There's no rhyme or reason to what they're doing. And so that's what brings me to this suspension. Should we be concerned? What should we be doing here? What should we be thinking about now and in the future? And could this affect you? Now, the fact of the matter is that Walmart automation is a business just like any other business out there. And I want you guys to really understand that at the end of the day, every single business out there carries a certain level of risk, especially those on the internet where you're playing on somebody else's playground. So at the end of the day, they can make up the rules. They can randomly suspend shit at will. And we're just going to have to either choose to adapt and evolve and or just get off the platform. Same thing happened on Amazon a long time ago. Same thing continues to happen on Amazon at the present time. And the way that I always like to relate to, is this business worth it for you, is by telling people a story. And you know, sometimes you hear stories and they don't come from a first-hand teller, so you kind of have to make an assumption or make a guess as to how you want to proceed, particularly if it's a business. So I'm going to relate this to my story. And let's just pretend that instead of telling you the full-blown story, I'm going to give you half of my story, which is a fact that a lot of people don't know about me, is that I've been selling on Amazon for almost over a decade. And within that decade, if I was to tell you the number of suspensions that I have, you might have a completely different outlook on whether or not you want to sell on Amazon. So we'll go ahead and start there. I have been suspended dozens and dozens and dozens of times. Now, if I told you the exact number, some of you guys would shit your pants and decide, man, I never want to sell on Amazon again. But the reality is, I've only told you half the story, and I've only told you my struggles on Amazon. I have not told you the entire story, which includes the level of success that I've had on Amazon. And if I happen to tell you that, then the amount of suspensions that I have almost becomes irrelevant because of the fact that you're blown away and you feel, when you meet me, I'm pretty easygoing, pretty happy-go-lucky, not the smartest tool in the shed, but just smart enough. And so when you do meet me, you're going to be like, wow, if she's been able to do it, then why the hell haven't I? And that leads me to the end of the story. And it's not even really the end of the story. It's just the middle, because at the end of the day, I am still on Amazon. And so the end of the story is that within that over decade of selling on Amazon, I've made almost 8 figures in total selling on the platform. So you can make your assumptions as to how much of that has been profit. However, it's been a pretty good run. So my question to you is, now knowing the entire story and knowing that I've been suspended dozens and dozens of times, Why would you be afraid to jump on a platform like Walmart, which is at the early adopter phase, a phase that I wasn't even able to get into on Amazon, still managed to do 8 figures. So why wouldn't you be willing to get into the Walmart platform with that information at hand? Even knowing that, yes, you will get suspended on Walmart one day if you're in the business long enough, why not? To me, if you get suspended, it means you're doing something right, which is, guess what? You were brave enough to get in the game to begin with. So let's continue with the rest of why we should be preparing for these suspensions, how to mentally prepare ourselves and such, now that you know my entire story on Amazon. Okay, so there's really a couple big things that we must prepare ourselves for in order to be able to weather this storm. The first and foremost is to understand that despite the fact that if you do get suspended, you are still responsible for your credit card charges that you place on your own credit card. So there's a couple things at hand here. First and foremost, it's protecting your personal credit and making sure that before you even jump into the Walmart game, make sure you set aside an emergency fund just in case you do get suspended. Suspensions can last anywhere between 7 days all the way on up to 30 days. And that doesn't include if it's a termination, which could be 90 days, even in some cases 180 days. So just be prepared by having this separate emergency fund in the event that you do get suspended. It'll definitely come in handy and it'll protect your personal credit in the long run. Now, with that in mind, also understand that Walmart will 100% pay you out. So at some point, you'll definitely be able to wipe out that debt. But in the meantime, you're just going to have to weather the storm from a payment perspective, as well as you might see your score dip a little just because of the fact that if you're maxed out on that card or if you have a high amount of debt to ratio on there, then your credit score will drop a little bit up until you pay that off. And then 30 days after that, it'll be back to better than ever. And the second thing is just understanding that moving forward, this could happen to you. Being mentally prepared for that and setting your expectations a little lower than what your service provider and or you imagined in your mind that you'd make. And the way that I do this is if I was to estimate the total amount of money I make on Walmart per month, I would, instead of calculate it by times 12, which is 12 months operating, I would say it's going to be more like 9 to 10 months because I might actually spend 2 months out of the year suspended. That's just how I would mentally prepare myself and set my expectations up. Remember, if you set your expectations really, really high and you don't adjust them when this kind of things happen, then it could really set you up for a huge disappointment. So don't let that happen and just kind of be mentally prepared and set a little bit more realistic goals in the long run. And the third and final thing is, how do you combat this? The easiest way to combat this, if you're working at this solo and doing it yourself, think of other ways to make it seem like your store is not a drop shipping store. And now you might need to brainstorm that. I've definitely brainstormed it and I have some ideas for myself, as well as the stores that I help manage. From a perspective of if you're a client of an automation business, ask them, what ideas do you have in place in the future to protect my store from being suspended because I'm a drop shipper? And any good, solid organization will have an answer to this. They'll already have it on their plans. Their salespeople will already know the answer. If the salespeople don't know, or if they never respond to you, that is a red flag. So you definitely want to align yourself with a team that has plans to proceed in the future and make themselves better and kind of hide and go under the radar from Walmart. So that's pretty much a wrap for this video of why Walmart suspended those people, as well as ways that you can try and combat this. I hope it helped. Questions and comments below as usual. I always personally answer them, and I'll see you guys next time.